Down under, trying to become only the fourth fighter to earn 4 different world titles, along with Sugar Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, and Roberto Duran. The mighty warrior out of Ghana, Africa, Azumah Nelson, making his 6th title defense, WBC super featherweight king, 2-time world champ who has been on top for 7 of the 11 years he's been pro. It's pretty safe to say this is the biggest fight in Jeff Fenech's career. In the truest sense, these are warriors. And this one really has all the ingredients of a slugfest.
Both of them explosive punches. I make this the best fight of tonight.
They're trading heavy body blows right now. Hard shot by Azumah Nelson. Made Fenech wave in the breeze. No question about it. He felt that. We're in the trenches. This is what Jeff Fenech wants.
An incredible amount of punches being thrown. Fenech all over Nelson.
Azumah fighting from memory, but it's now history.
What a fight!
You have to think the winner of this fight is Fenech. One never knows in Las Vegas, but even here, this has got to be a clear-cut win for Fenech, who has covered himself with glory. It figured to be an exciting fight, and it was an exciting fight.
Well, fans, after 12 rounds of boxing, we have a draw. The decision is even a draw.
Oh, goodness, that is mind-boggling. And look at the reaction by Jeff Fenech. He is in total disbelief. No way, he says. It's a draw. So the champion, Azumah Nelson, getting the benefit of the doubt from the judges here. Unbelievable. Time has passed, and the battleground has been moved. Now, Nelson and Fenech will continue their struggle for the WBC Super Featherweight Championship in the land down under. The draw enabled Nelson to retain the championship and forced Fenech to remain a challenger. Nelson, a proven road warrior, will defend the title on Fenech's home soil. Nelson is anxious to prove he deserves to keep the crown. Fenech wants the title he believes he has already earned. Today, Nelson and Fenech will seek a definitive resolution to their conflict. Coming up live via satellite from Australia, it's the WBC Super Featherweight Championship on Showtime Championship Boxing. Melbourne, Australia, famous for its intriguing mixture of character and charm. And speaking of intriguing, would you believe it's just after 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday, March 1st here in Australia? While back in the United States on the East Coast, it's 10 o'clock Saturday night, February 29th. And if that's not enough, these are the last days of summer down under. It's humid with intermittent rain. And we make our way into Prince's Park, the home for Australian rules football and cricket. Today, the spotlight is on boxing. The assembled masses here at Prince's Park will be the largest crowd in Australian history to see a fight. Hello again, everybody. I'm Steve Albert, and welcome to another edition of Showtime Championship Boxing. And we come to you live via satellite from Melbourne, the capital of Victoria, Australia. And we are very proud to say that this is the first boxing event ever to be televised live from Australia back to the United States. And I guess the best way for us to compare it has taken on the feel of a Super Bowl or a World Series. Posters everywhere, merchandising, people hawking T-shirts, talk in the pubs, and of course, plenty of betting action. Now here in Australia, they are calling this Judgment Day, with the general feeling down under that national hero Jeff Fenech was robbed in his first bout with Azumah Nelson in Las Vegas 8 months ago. So we have come to the mecca of Australian sports for this showdown. And here with a closer look at this sports-crazed city is our man from Channel 9, Melbourne, Jim Wilson, who tells us why this is the sports capital of Australia.
As host country to the 1956 Summer Olympic Games, the eyes of the world were focused on this great city. 67 nations featuring 4,000 athletes were showcased, For Australia, the Games were not only an occasion of great national significance, but an eagerly embraced opportunity to welcome the world. A moment of pride Australians will never forget. Without a doubt, mate, Melbourne is the sports capital of Australia. Choose almost any week in the year and you'll find a stadium somewhere here in Melbourne packed to the rafters with enthusiastic sports fans watching some of the world's best competition. Melbourne is home to the prestigious Australian Tennis Open, the first leg of the Grand Slam. The nation's richest and most traditional handicap race, the Melbourne Cup, brings the country to a standstill. Idea of the magnitude of this fight, the press conference attracted over 3,000 people to see the champion and the challenger.
And now there's a fight here. Everyone's just walking around the streets. You just hear everyone talking about it, and it's so big, you know.
For Australians, this bout is Ali Fraser, Leonard Hagler and Tyson Spinks all rolled into one. The thoroughfares are covered with billboards announcing the upcoming clash. Merchandising relating to the fight could gross into the millions. Some 40,000 ticket holders will see this rematch, making it the all-time fight crowd ever in Australia.
I'd be very, very surprised if we don't have at least 500,000 people across the country in racetracks, basically racetracks, watching Fenech versus Nelson. The arithmetic is, if you multiply it by 20, you come to 10 million. Nothing has ever been achieved like that here in this country, Australia.
We Australians can relate to Jeff Fenech. With each fight he enters the ring, the pride and spirit of this nation supports the Marrickville Mauler. So it's only fitting that Australia's biggest boxing event be held here in the sports capital, Melbourne. G'day, mates.
And this city of 3 million has nearly 40 professional sports teams to cheer for. Over 100 hours a week of sports programming is televised in Melbourne. Yes, they love their sports here, and they have turned out en masse today for the Nelson-Fenech rematch. The first fight ended in a controversial split decision draw. It was 12 riveting rounds of non-stop mayhem. Many called it the fight of 1991. It happened on the undercard of Tyson Ruddock 2 back on June 28th in Las Vegas as Azumah Nelson retained his WBC super featherweight title against Jeff Fenech, a decision that still makes many Aussies bristle. And right now I'm joined by my partner, the fight doctor, Ferdy Pacheco, and from my seat at ringside, Fenech won that first fight. He won it by virtue of taking the close rounds. Ferdy, how did you see it?
Well, I saw it much more amply than you did. I thought he won by at least 5 rounds. It was an overpowering Fenech who had the willpower and who dictated the pace of the fight and who imposed his fight on a fading champion who couldn't keep him off. So I thought he won amply, and I thought the decision was rotten.
Well, neither fighter came up for air. They just never let up. That's what really captured everyone's imagination, I think.
Well, I think what we saw here was less than strong Azumah Nelson. He was weak. He said he had malaria 10 days before the fight, had gone to the hospital, put in there by the Vegas Commission for 2 days, and he wasn't up to himself. Well, he certainly fought that way. He was weak. He couldn't keep off Fenech. Fenech coming along like a freight train on a rail, straight rail form. He has not figured to fight any differently today. What we might see different is Azumah Nelson might be strong and not just 34 years old. That's what we have to look for.
Well, Ferdy, the controversial decision just reaffirmed if you are the challenger, you got to beat the champion convincingly if it goes the distance.
Well, that, and he got stuck in the Vegas triangle. There's a Vegas curse that seems to be following fighters for the last 5 years, and we've had some amazing decisions on it. This happened to be one of the strangest ones that I was involved with, and I think it might be different here in Melbourne, Australia.
All right, before we take you behind the scenes backstage to the dressing rooms, let us show you some footage from yesterday. This was Jeff Fenech testing out the ring, and in particular, the ropes. You recall, if you saw that first fight, the ropes playing a key role as Fenech had Nelson pinned on the ropes for some 6 rounds. Now let's go backstage into the dressing room of Jeff Fenech, who adamantly feels he won that first fight with Azumah Nelson, extremely anxious for the rematch. But it's almost a role reversal now. Before the first fight, Fenech was all charged up, while Nelson was quite reserved. Now Fenech seems more low-key, perhaps feeling the immense pressure, the weight of an entire nation on his shoulders, while Nelson is a man possessed. He wants to kick Fenech's rear end. Let's take a look at that first war between Fenech and Nelson from our perspective. The champion asserted himself from the outset and built a slim lead on the scorecard.
They're trading heavy body blows right now. Hard shot by Azumah Nelson. Made Fenech wave in the breeze.
A right by Nelson that tagged Fenech in the head.
No question about it. He felt that. He felt that all the way down to his legs, did Fenech.
After losing the first 2 rounds, the challenger went to work. There's the best punch by Fenech all night.
That's the best one. There's another one real hard. That one shook Azumah.
And the crowd feeling that maybe Fenech had Nelson on the ropes.
He didn't have him on the ropes, but he certainly wobbled him. He certainly wobbled Azumah. Azumah's in a defensive stance on the ropes, taking everything that Fenech wants to get.
Fenech continues to press the attack. Big turnaround round here for Jeff Fenech of Australia. Just as Fenech had begun to turn the tide, a cut appeared under his left eye. His cornermen were able to stop the bleeding, and Nelson was unable to take advantage of the wound.
Fenech landing 2-3-1 and impressing the judges. He's on the offense, but look at this.
Back comes Nelson. He turns him around. And back comes Fenech.
And back comes Fenech. What a display of guts on the part of both men.
Watch your head, guys.
When's the last time you saw that many uppercuts in a row?
An incredible amount of punches being thrown. Fenech's persistent attack began to cause concern in Nelson's corner. Fenech never runs out of gas.
Or evil intention, and there they are on the ropes again, and it's Fenech's round again.
The fight's too close. Give me water. Open this, open. You've got him, mate. Jeff, you've got to work, mate, the next 2. So this is the 10th.
First time Fenech has felt the ropes at his back. What a shot!
It appeared to Ferdy and I that Fenech had done what he needed to do to take the title from Nelson. To our surprise, it was not the champ who fought the final round as if he needed a knockout.
Here's the last final round.
Fenech all over Nelson.
Azumah fighting from memory, but it's now history.
What a fight!
Judge Jerry Roth scores the bout 115-113 for Jeff Fenech. Judge at ringside Miguel Donate scores the bout 116-112 Azumah Nelson. And judge at ringside Dave Moretti scores the bout 114-114, a draw. The decision is even a draw.
Every time you try to champion! Every time you try to return, man!
All 3 judges agreed it was a close, hard-fought battle. Yet all 3 disagreed on the outcome. Ferdy unofficially scored the fight 117-111 for Fenech.
I want to give him one more chance, because I want to prove myself that I'm the best.
If they told me to fight, I could fight Azumah tomorrow, I'd stay here and do it tomorrow. But at the moment, I'm a little despondent. I thought I won the fight, and most people that saw the fight thought I won. So I actually go back home and have a think about what I want to do, but I definitely want to get Azumah Nelson's title.
And we go into the dressing room of the champion Azumah Nelson. a man who is giving Jeff Fenech another shot at the title. Nelson said he would tell the 30,000 or so spectators at Prince's Park when to stop screaming for Fenech and start cheering for him. The Ghanaian has come a long way for this fight. To call this a road trip is an understatement. And he brought some friends with him. Earlier today, the enthusiastic Ghana faithful, here they are, and these folks living on the edge, surrounded by the partisan fans here in Australia. But they want to make certain Azumah Nelson knows he's got lots of support in his corner. We thought you might find this interesting, a history of championship fights following a draw. Challengers have won 8 of 15 times after a draw, and only twice in the modern history of world title fights has a rematch of a draw resulted in a second draw. When did that happen? How about the turn of the century? Jimmy Barry versus Casper Leon, 20 rounds. And then Harry Lewis versus Willie Lewis in 1910, 25 rounds. The odds for a draw today are 33 to 1. The challenger, three-time world champion Jeff Fenech, the Thunder from Down Under, a household name, a national treasure, who has put boxing on the map here in Australia. The champion, Azumah Nelson, who's had to leave his country to become a world champion. But he's used to leaving. He's also used to winning, then returning to his homeland, a conquering hero. Today pits national hero versus road warrior. When Jeff Fenech enters the ring, he fights not only for himself, but for the glory of his country. This patriot's dedication to excellence and unyielding will to win have made his nation proud. Fenech's achievements during his 8-year career have placed him among Australia's all-time greats. His current record of 26 wins with no losses and 1 draw ranks with today's best in the ring. He has captured world titles as a bantamweight, super bantamweight, and featherweight. This Triple Crown feat elevated the Marrickville Mauler to the sport's upper echelon.
I can't say that I don't enjoy when people compare me to Australia's greatest ever athletes. I mean, that's a goal that I've set myself, and I'd like to fulfill that achievement.
Australians' affection for Fenech has transformed this former street thug into a goodwill ambassador. His popularity rivals that of any celebrity in the country. Product manufacturers are eager to be associated with a winner like Fenech. He represents everything from beer to computers.
Personal computers, lightweights that pack more punch than Jeff Fenech.
The admiration for Fenech is undeniable. He represents a work ethic that makes his countrymen swell with pride.
You know, he's a good little Aussie battler and everyone loves him. He does it for the country and, you know, he just shows what we're all about.
You know, he's a guy that doesn't give up. He's, you know, his real motivation to succeed is, I think that, you know, a lot of people can actually can sort of relate to.
His fans have placed an enormous amount of pressure on him, as has Fenech himself, to avenge the controversial draw with Azumah Nelson.
I have the weight of the whole country on my shoulders. I mean, this fight is like no other. When I was robbed in Las Vegas, my country was robbed as well, and they'll all be there wherever they can watch this fight, whether it's at the ground or back in Sydney or back in Adelaide, Brisbane. They'll all be out in force watching and rooting for Jeff Fenech. I mean, so I have got a little extra pressure this time, and it is a little harder to handle, but like I said, I believe champions rise to the occasion, and I'll turn that pressure into an advantage when the time is right.
This mighty warrior has tested his courage around the world. He hails from Ghana, a country on the west coast of Africa. This nation of 17 million people lists diamonds, gold, and cocoa as its chief exports. Azumah Nelson has had to export himself from Accra, Ghana, in pursuit of world-class competition. As this fighter spanned the globe from continent to continent, his travels took him into more than one lion's den. Nelson has won world championships as a featherweight and super featherweight. He has had 11 successful title defenses with 1 draw. Only once has he fought a championship fight on his native soil. Usually, he must do battle in his opponent's homeland or on neutral ground. He fears no man in the ring and has the pride and poise that befit a champion.
This is the warrior, this is the warrior in boxing, I don't care where I fight. I go anywhere, any place, any day, any time. Hey, I'll do it.
Nelson arrived in Australia with only a small entourage of supporters. This champion seems to thrive on unfriendly soil. He cannot be intimidated by the Fenech fans that routinely come to his workouts. Despite being in Fenech's homeland, Nelson has won the respect and admiration of some Aussies. When he steps into the ring to defend his title, he fully expects to shock the Fenech faithful.
I don't care the people that come into the stadium to cheer him up, But whoever cheer the guy up, I'm going to the ring with the guy only. Nobody's come to help him.
Light rain falling here in Melbourne. As we remind you, the first fight went the distance. Azumah Nelson displaying early speed. Then Jeff Fenech came on strong in the later rounds. And Ferdy, what do you expect in the rematch?
Not the same story as the first fight. I think it depends on which Azumah Nelson shows up. He's 33 years old, but he's not sick now. If Azumah Nelson didn't fight the last fight because he was just 33 years old and wearing out, if he fought because he was tired, this time he's strong, he's trained 3 months, we're going to see a totally different fight. He is a very complete fighter. Fenech goes one way. He's on a railroad track and he comes straight for you. Tenacious, brutal, determined, won't stop for the 12 rounds. But he's going to face a master boxer in Azumah Nelson, completely different from what we saw in Las Vegas, unless those 33 years were genuine.
The champion, Azumah Nelson, of course, is 33 years old. How about the age factor?
Yeah, the age factor comes in, but he was a very crafty fighter. He hasn't taken any beatings, and I don't think that's as much his trouble as the style of Fenech is.
And Nelson has not been affected by the road in the past, but is today a different story. Will that home field advantage, this Fenech madness, be too overwhelming for him?
No, he's a warrior of the old school. These guys come in, they turn off their hearing aids. Believe me, when that first bell rings, all you're worried about is the guy in front of you. Azumah Nelson has demonstrated time and again that it doesn't make any difference where he fights. He fights the same, 100%.
I mentioned the rain, the humidity earlier. What about the weather?
No, both these guys are from hot countries, and so heat has nothing to do with it. Azumah Nelson is from a country where it's so hot, people burst in flames from spontaneous combustion. But as far as Fenech, he's home, and beside that, it's raining. And so it's no problem at all.
And Jeff Fenech, of course, has had his problems in the past with his hands. What about that?
They're a problem in that he's fractured them 7 times, but in each of those fights where he's fractured his hand, he continues to fight. He has a very high pain threshold. It's not a factor because even if they break, Fenech goes right on. You don't know it. You'll find out later with an x-ray, but you don't know it during the fight. His high pain threshold and his determination to win makes Fenech an awful tough package to beat.
All right, Ferdy. Just for the record here at Prince's Park, Nelson says, I will stop Fenech inside 7 rounds. Fenech says, in the end, both will be standing, but I'll win by decision. To the numerical breakdown, the tail of the tape. At 33, Azumah Nelson 6 years older than Fenech. Fenech has the 2-inch height advantage at 5'7". The weight, both 129, 1 pound under the limit. And the 2.5-inch reach advantage for Fenech. And the rules, according to the World Boxing Council, 10-point must system, 3 judges scoring the fight, no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight. Fighter cannot be saved by the bell except in the final round. Well, it's been 8 months since that first fight. Tremendous anticipation. Jeff Fenech and his followers bitterly disappointed with that June 28th decision, while Azumah Nelson is chomping at the bit to set the record straight. Now, all the talk is over. The fans here at Prince's Park are ready, and so are Fenech and Nelson.
I don't see how 2 people can fight for the championship of the world and come out, especially the way the fight went and have a draw.
I want to prove to the whole world that I want to fight. That's the main reason why I came for the rematch.
believe I was the better man on that night, and I got nothing out of it. I mean, forget about a draw. A draw means nothing.
I'm going to knock him out because my punches are heavier than his punches, you know. And the first fight, I don't feel his punches.
I don't believe there is a fitter boxer in the world than me. I don't believe there's anybody that can throw as many punches per round as I can.
I don't think this guy can go to the 12 rounds. You know, and I think 7 rounds, they have to start the fight.
There is a lot of pressure on me, but I feel that, you know, champions rise to the occasion, and we'll see the real Jeff Fenech stand up and be counted on March 1st.
I mean, let me tell you, I'm a professor in boxing. And what I can do, Fenech cannot do half, you know, and that's why I'm back to prove to the world I'm the best.
And a look at the challenger, Jeff Fenech, even odds to win by decision, 2-1 to KO Nelson, looking to become only the 4th man in boxing history to win world titles in more than 3 weight classes. He'll walk into the song See the Magpie Fly, written as a musical tribute to Jeff's good friend, Australian rules footballer, the late Darren Mullane, who died tragically in an auto accident back in October. Jeff is wearing Darren's personal team jersey of Collingwood.
Come on, Jeff. Come on, Jeff. You're the champion.
Jeff Fenech getting a kiss from his trainer, Johnny Lewis. When we met with Fenech yesterday, he seemed a bit tense. But his handlers say they like him this way before a big fight, irritable and edgy. And now the champion, Azumah Nelson, who seems to thrive in enemy territory. He told us the fans here in Australia give him encouragement. Most people here are saying how Fenech was robbed. What about this man? He feels he was robbed of a victory in the first fight. That's his motivation today. Azumah Nelson hearing the boos from this crowd. He told us he sees this fight as father versus son. Nelson adding, I love the guy, meaning Jeff Fenech, but this is business. Upwards of 30,000 here, and this is the scene at Prince's Park, live from Melbourne, Australia. We are set for the official introductions and pre-fight festivities. Let's go to our ring announcer, Ray Connolly.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you kindly rise in respect of the national anthems? Firstly, Ghana. To sing Australia's national anthem from Melbourne, Victoria, John St. Peters.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth of toil. Our home is good by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, dance Australia fair.
Ladies and gentlemen, in collaboration with Don King Productions, Bill Marty's Classic Promotions, host to his historical Big Blue, scheduled for 12 3-minute rounds for the WBC Super Featherweight Championship of the World. Supervisor from Puerto Rico, Gabriel Pena Garicano. Physicians, Michael Clancy, Lou Lewis. Timekeepers, John Holloway, Graham Olahead. Judges, from London, England, Harry Gibbs, OBE. From the United States of America, New Jersey, Kazmarek. California's Rudy Ortega. His 97th world title, New York's legendary Arthur McEntee, occupying the blue corner, scaling 129 pounds, wearing black trunks with white markings, hailing from Marrickville, Sydney, Australia. Undefeated in 27 contests, 26 victories, 19 inside the distance, 1 draw. Member of the exclusive 11 to have won world championships in 3 different weight divisions. Consummating prophecy of supernova infinity, challenger Jeff Fenech. His opponent, occupying the red corner, also scaling 129 pounds, wearing white trunks with Technicolor markings, hailing from Accra, Ghana. 36 encounters, have produced 33 victories, 24 by knockout, 2 losses, 1 draw. Twice a world champion, perpetuating majesty at Glory Shrine, defending his diadem, Azumah Nelson.
Azumah, Jeff, this contest for the Super Featherweight Championship of the World will be governed by the rules of the World Boxing Council. You received your instructions earlier. We expect you to obey them, and if you don't, you will be penalized. Shake hands now, and good luck to both of you.
A light but steady rain here in Melbourne, Australia, and it is leaking through the canvas. There are at least 3 areas where the rain is coming through the canopy. And Arthur McEntee, I noticed before, just shaking his head, looking at the rain coming through the top here.
It's formed 3 puddles, but they're in the middle of the ring as far as Fenech's concerned. He wants to fight along the ropes, so he doesn't really care about the middle of the ring.
Round 1 scheduled for 12. Azumah Nelson doesn't want to go to the ropes again as he did in the first fight, about 6 rounds worth. In that first fight, Fenech pushed me into the ropes, said Azumah. He didn't allow me to move. I sustained his punches, and he also said, I don't mind. And he was really getting nailed repeatedly with Fenech uppercuts. Others just feel that Azumah Nelson just ran out of gas.
Or got worn down by this non-stop punching machine that's Fenech. Right now, Fenech, like he did in the first fight, in the first round, rather tentative. Azumah coming on with superior boxing skill, but it was just the opening minute.
Fenech, being the street fighter he is, uses anything and everything to gain the edge. Tries to get his opponent really rattled, but the experienced Azumah Nelson doesn't easily get duped into that stuff. We will see today. Of course, in that first battle, Fenech threw a volume of punches at Azumah Nelson, but couldn't put him away. So you have to question his punching power, or is Nelson that difficult to put down?
Well, I'll tell you who's got punching power. That's Azumah Nelson. That right hand can make you wave in the breeze and then come those combinations. Also, keep an eye on the uppercut. The uppercut of Azumah Nelson is a thing of beauty.
Fenech with the pressure. Azumah Nelson, a skillful boxer as well as ferocious puncher, punishing fighter, similar to Julio Cesar Chavez. He likes to accumulate. There's a right, and down goes Fenech.
And that's That's the right hand we talked about. That long right. It's the first time, the second time in his career he's been down. He's never been knocked out.
He's been put to the canvas only once, and that was early in his career.
Keep your eyes on that right hand and the uppercut. There's the uppercut.
What a stunning turn of events. Azumah Nelson is trying to finish Fenech off now in the final minute of the first round.
A lot of time, 46 seconds. Azumah not swarming, however. Very, very crafty warrior. He'll take his chances. He'll let Fenech get crazy, and then he'll nail him again. There's that hook again by Azumah Nelson, a very talented boxer.
Nelson predicted he would knock out Fenech inside 7. I didn't think he meant the first.
I don't think he thought he meant the first. It was just a perfect right hand.
Final seconds of round 1. Fenech looking to recharge. And Nelson continues to unload. Big round for the champion, Azumah Nelson.
I'm going to make this big with that, but just remember the pitch is a couple of points behind that. Yep. Just keep nice and you go coverage and all, mate. Promise me? Yep.
Let's take a look at that knockdown. Keep your eye on the right hand of Azumah Nelson. He reaches with it, but it's just a perfectly landed right hand. Whoop, there it goes. And that is a sort of fold down by Fenech. Again, he's setting him up with the right jab, and comes a... You see, his boxing perfection of Azumah Nelson is the left jab that sets it up. 2 or 3, soft, and then bam, comes the right hand, and down goes Fenech. Big surprise.
Round 2, the crowd getting behind Jeff Fenech. He was put to the canvas for only the second time in his illustrious career in the first round here by Nelson.
Nelson's punches much, much harder than Fenech's to start this round. The mark of a good champion is he doesn't get excited, he doesn't get overpowered. He just knows that he can outbox him, does Azumah Nelson, and he's got that reserve, that calmness, waiting for his superior boxing to give him the advantage, as it did in that first round knockdown, giving him a 10-8 round to begin with.
The 33-year-old Nelson, 33-2-1 with 24 knockouts. His only losses to Salvador Sanchez and Pernell Whitaker. He's looking to prove something here. He felt he won that first fight, June 28th, and he just wants to shut everybody up.
Fenech looking a little wild, as if he just couldn't conceive that would happen to him, and he is trying to reach for his punches rather than boxing intelligently, and you don't see him bullying Azumah Nelson to the ropes in this fight. Again, a different Azumah Nelson, as we said at the top of the show, well-conditioned and determined to come out of here with dignity and with a title.
He said he wasn't in shape for the first fight, on top of the fact that he had malaria. Meanwhile, Jeff Fenech 9 days ago had breathing problems. Here's a wild miss by Azumah Nelson. He had an allergy that manifested itself as asthma, compounded by a chest infection. Says he's okay now. Going to the midsection of Azumah Nelson. That gets a rise from the crowd. But no damage.
And getting too wild.
Heavy right there by Nelson. That was shielded by Fenech. And Fenech missing.
Fenech being controlled by that left jab of Azumah Nelson. Watch that jab. Just keep popping in there, getting him off his timing, not letting him get his attack in place. Fenech not having the success with swarming because of the left jab of Azumah Nelson.
When we asked Fenech about the condition of his hands, he said that emphatically, my hands are fine. There was speculation that he broke a hand after the first fight. Oh, he went down again!
With that same right hand, the same thing. A jab controlled him and the right hand dropped him. And this crowd doesn't think it's a knockdown, but it was a knockdown.
They thought it was a slip as Arthur County counts Jeff Fenech. That's the second knockdown for Azumah Nelson. Final seconds of round 2.
That was a delayed reaction to the right hand. He does not know what to do with that right hand, and he better get some instruction in the corner.
Jeff Fenech looking startled, perplexed. He was very tense coming to this fight, feeling the weight on his shoulders. An entire country looking in.
We're just walking up and square onto him all the time. And he's trying to get us with a big hook in the right hand. Come on, son. How do you feel, Jeff? I'm fine. Maybe behind the 8 ball though, I've just got to keep the jab down and get the points up, mate.
Now, keep your eye on that jab. 2-3, and there goes the right hand. Now 2-3, and the right hand again. Now this one was a punch that crumpled him down, but he did slip on some wet stuff there. That, in all fairness, that was a slip, but followed by a strong right hand, which had crumpled him. That was kind of borderline, but with the net result of this, let's watch that right hand again. Right hand was on the neck, and no, it was on the neck and the top of the head. Not enough to crumple him. That kind of was a slip, but the net result is the same. Azumah Nelson ahead, 20-16 as the third round starts.
It looked like a knockdown from here, even though there are wet spots with rain dripping through the canopy. A hard left by Azumah Nelson. Round 3 scheduled for 12, the WBC Super Featherweight Championship fight.
Azumah Nelson right now teaching the young Jeff Fenech some boxing lessons.
He said, coming in, it would be father versus son. There's a combination by Fenech.
But he's hitting nothing but gloves and the elbows of Azumah Nelson. Look at that uppercut. Savage uppercut by Azumah Nelson.
Nelson measuring Fenech out, and it's Fenech against the ropes.
And here comes Fenech fighting back off the ropes, but notice it's Fenech on the ropes, not Azumah Nelson.
Oh, Fenech got tagged on the chin. Now he turns Nelson around.
This crowd comes to life as Azumah Nelson looked at the referee saying, "You're going to let him get away with that?"
Fenech swarming. Now, this is reminiscent of the first fight.
And again, Azumah, who can get away from there if he wants to, chooses to stay there.
He told us he doesn't mind. He just looked over at us and smiled.
Well, keep in mind the uppercuts in here would do the damage.
Back comes Azumah Nelson fighting from the ropes. And a return barrage from Fenech.
Strong punches back from Azumah Nelson, although Fenech building up points with that non-stop attack is.
Uppercut by Azumah Nelson. Fenech all over Azumah Nelson. What an exchange. Less than a minute to go. Round 3.
Azumah Nelson is setting a trap here. That's what he's doing. He's letting this guy get very brave, and then come those hard uppercuts and winging hooks. Azumah's fresh. He can take it here, and he can gamble. He's got a big lead. He can gamble.
Final seconds, round 3. Are bristling.
All right. Sounds all right. Box. Okay, box. Move a little bit this round. You put in the middle. You cut him.
Something unnatural. Fenech then driving Azumah Nelson to the ropes where he chooses to stay. And then, of course, the bell sounded. Fenech has got his blood up, and he just can't stop. He got hit again, and he knees Azumah Nelson. That's a foul and could be punished. That is something Arthur McCanny didn't see, or you'd have taken a point away.
Buffalo Martin went wild in the Azumah Nelson corner. Round 4, as things really heat up. Fenech put to the canvas twice. Round 1, round 2, and then coming back in round 3. And there seems to be a little problem with the right eye of Jeff Fenech. He was cut under the left eye in the 3rd round of the first fight, you recall, and it was a great job by cornerman and cutman Johnny Lewis to keep him going. Arthur McCanny, the 3rd man to the ring out of Garden City, New York. 97th World Championship fight. He is used to these circumstances.
It was obvious that McCanny did not see that kneeing. If he had, he'd have taken away the round, the only one that Jeff Fenech has won. Bear in mind, with 10-8 rounds, he was already behind 20-16 when this round started.
Arthur McCanny known for letting fighters fight in the clinches, but he's also a very strict disciplinarian. Now both fighters perhaps feeling the effects of those wild first 3 rounds and just letting up a hair. Heavy punches by Nelson, but not having damage.
It's clear that as long as Fenech stays in the middle of the ring, he's not going to have the better of it. He needs to brawl and maul, and he needs to be in the trenches. He needs to have Azumah Nelson's back to the ropes, and that he won't get unless Azumah chooses to let him do that.
And the rain letting up. Not as much a factor as earlier. Heavy left hand by Fenech. And back comes Nelson with uppercuts. What a weapon. But the ever-charging Jeff Fenech, so fierce, the buzzsaw style, forever forward.
Did not seem to be affected by those 2 first knockdowns. Surprised him, but didn't hurt him. He is fighting with full force here. His back to the ropes.
A wild miss by Azumah Nelson. 2 animalistic competitors here. Final 30 seconds, round 4.
Little bit of blood under the eye of Fenech.
As we head for the bell. You see them drying off the canvas with the towels. It was raining pretty steadily just moments ago. And as mentioned, it's letting up a bit. But they're doing their level best to keep it as dry as possible.
So far, the only factor that has been is that apparent knockdown where he also slipped into the bargain, giving the crowd a little momentary pause for argument.
The people wearing their slickers here in Melbourne, Australia, we're coming to you live from Prince's Park.
And we keep reiterating the disadvantage that Jeff Fenech had put himself into when he had 2 10-8 rounds in a row, making it 20-16 to start the 3rd round.
It is round 5, scheduled for 12. As mentioned before, Fenech got cut in the first fight, but they healed him up pretty quickly, and it wasn't a factor. We'll see how it goes here. It looks like a mild abrasion.
It's lumping up. His face is lumping up as Fenech's, and that's due to the strong jab and then the hooks of Azumah Nelson. This left hand of Azumah Nelson's is giving an education to young Jeff Fenech.
Fenech, 27, 6 years younger. than the champion. And Nelson with combination uppercut. And that snapped Fenech's head back. And again, it's Fenech near the ropes.
And Fenech chooses to attack again when he's back to the ropes. He explodes when he gets in trouble. And Azumah taking his time, not attacking him on the ropes, letting him just get off the hook. That's a mark of confidence on the part of the champion and experience. Look at that left hand of Azumah Nelson. Pop, pop, pop. Back comes Fenech for more.
Combination by Fenech, who was put to the canvas in the first round and in the second round, much to the surprise and chagrin of this huge crowd in his hometown.
Unlike the first fight, many of Fenech's punches are landing on those high gloves of Azumah Nelson, not coming near landing for points.
Now it's Azumah Nelson sticking the jab, trying to set himself up for the right, but a sweeping left hook by Fenech.
There's no question that this is not Fenech's fight. There's no question he's got to bull him into the ropes. He's got to charge forward. He's not doing that yet. I'm surprised his corner hadn't sent him forth.
Fenech continues to look confused.
He cannot out-jab Azumah Nelson. What's happening? He keeps getting hit with the right hand off that jab.
The crowd reacting, but Azumah Nelson he did to that. That one snapped him back. A sharp right hand by Jeff Fenech got the attention of Azumah Nelson.
And that was the first good, strong punch that Fenech has landed cleanly. I mean cleanly. Driving Azumah Nelson back into the ropes, which is exactly where Fenech wants it.
Arthur Mercati steps between. Wild left by Nelson. He wants to end this. A straight right by Nelson.
There goes the mouthpiece of Jeff Fenech.
That could mean fatigue.
You don't have to relax, okay? Anytime you can inside, all right? Jab, only the jab win the fight, okay? Through the jab, and put the good right hands, okay? No rest too much, Azumah. This is serious fight.
This is a boxing lesson. Look at that uppercut, and then the right hand right over the uppercut that drives Fenech into the corner. This is most of what happened in that round. The superior boxing and evil intention of Azumah Nelson. But then again, Fenech came back and landed a beautiful shot. Let's see it here. There was a beautiful right hand landed right there. And that was about the only thing Master Fenech did to the professor. So he is slipping badly in this fight, and great will be the lamenting of this crowd if this scoring is anywhere near what I have. I have Fenech way behind.
This is a very worried crowd here in Melbourne, Australia. Round 6 for the WBC Super Featherweight Championship. Azumah Nelson in the white trunks. Jeff Fenech, the challenger, in the black.
In the corner, he was told, just as we're observing, keep that left jab going and cross with the right. Buffalo Martin, seeing what I'm seeing, that left jab is controlling Jeff Fenech. And in Fenech's corner, they have to be saying, push this guy, bull this guy, make him go to the corner with you, make him go to the ropes.
A roundhouse right by Jeff Fenech that sailed away.
Sailed away and leaving him open to a counter right.
And now another furious exchange, but no punches being landed. Fenech continues to be frustrated.
Azumah Nelson almost seems too casual, as if he knows he's mastering this young man, and he really doesn't need to do much more. Could be a big mistake, because Fenech will be at him until 12 rounds goes by.
Nelson, the master craftsman, that was a stinging uppercut by Fenech that got in. but it doesn't seem to have much effect on the chin of Azumah Nelson. There's a right hand by Nelson. Nelson told us he's got a face of rock, and I'm beginning to believe him. But now, a hard charging Jeff Fenech putting Nelson into the ropes just above our broadcast point.
Now McCanny breaking them, meaning that Fenech can't push him into the ropes where he wants him. In Las Vegas, he could push him into the ropes and continue to pull him. Here, they're getting broken up.
Back into Fenech's favorite corner.
This is what Fenech does so well. This is what Fenech must do to win this fight. If he doesn't do this, no chance.
And we end the 6th round with a flurry. Oh, what a left hand by Azumah Nelson, a crackling left. Nelson fighting from the corner. Oh, man.
And he's got Fenech in trouble. Fenech's the attacker, and he's in trouble.
A ferocious right hand by Azumah Nelson, whirling away.
Stop punching. Mate, he's going to come out this round and give it his all. Now, mate, we can win the fight this round by you sticking that jab in his face. You're all right, to be honest with me. 60 boy, come on, mate. We're going to turn the fight that round. We let him back into it. For God's sake, don't let him hit you. Keep him in there. You know what you're doing in there. It's our domain. You can breathe his mother. Yeah.
Here's the rally in the corner where Azumah Nelson turned it around. The guy that was attacking all of a sudden found a buzzsaw, and he began to get hammered, and then Azumah Nelson turned him around, and it almost looked like the fight was beginning to end. Here's a turnaround, and as it progressed on, it was a belabored and weary Jeff Fenech that went back to his corner. Another big round for Azumah Nelson.
Here in Melbourne, Australia, Azumah Nelson is ready for more here in round 7. He just magnetically sucked Fenech right into the corner and let him have it.
Fenech simply being outclassed. That's the only word you can use when you got a consummate warrior like Azumah Nelson. Look at that series. All out attack by Fenech, nothing landed.
Fenech, who was knocked down in the first and again in the second, came back in the third, but since then, Azumah Nelson, the champion, in command.
Now he's got on the ropes again, and he didn't attack, and Azumah pulls off the ropes. He's got some glove problem here as Azumah Nelson, which is of no importance here because neither fighter is tired. This is no advantage to anybody. It's just an equipment change. Buffalo Martin, the guy that lost the mouthpiece last time, is looking for tape in the corner.
The fans remember that. It was between rounds 9 and 10, though, in that first fight. Nelson's mouth guard mysteriously disappeared. And that gave Azumah Nelson invaluable time to recover.
Well, Fenech's corner, interestingly enough, is getting the feeling that he's losing this fight, and they're telling him the fight is getting away from him. I have to heartily concur, and regardless of the ire of this purely Fenech crowd, you'll have to say Azumah Nelson is winning this bout at this point. Now let's see if his old age becomes a factor or if he can continue this through 12.
And we continue round 7. The rain has stopped.
The educated left jab again. Count those jabs of Azumah Nelson. Not everyone getting in, but while he's punching, Fenech is paralyzed like before a Cobra and keeps getting punched in the face.
No power behind those punches of Jeff Fenech as Azumah Nelson continues to move forward.
See that? 2 light jabs by Azumah and a hard hook to his ear of Fenech. Everything off that left hand. What an education.
Jeff Fenech, who has never lost. He's 26-0-1 with 19 knockouts. The only blemish, that June 28th draw with Azumah Nelson.
Fenech has to do a lot more of that to sway the judges. He's just not doing any fighting in order to give him these rounds. When he does punch, he's a mile away. He's not effective from outside. Again and again, you come to the same equation. Get away from the middle of the ring and get on the ropes, Jeff, and he's not doing it.
There's a right hand by Azumah Nelson, but at this point, the fans here will cheer almost anything by Jeff Fenech. About 15 seconds left in the round. Good combination by Jeff Fenech. And round 7 in the books.
Tip. Tell this guy, give me tape.
Why don't you want tape?
It's unbelievable. This thing happened everywhere. Somebody steal my watch. My wallet's here.
Let's go. Put this on right away. Come on.
Round both of them. 2 more.
Buffalo said, unbelievable, somebody stole my tape.
He wants a big hoop with you, mate.
Last time he lost a mouthpiece, now somebody lost his tape.
Jad, when we get him in close, punch the shit out of him, mate.
Hands up, Jim.
Round 8, scheduled for 12. And Jeff Fenech has to do something. Look at these punches by Azumah Nelson.
Fenech has got to fight back, but every time he fights back, he gets stung. I think he's getting gun-shy. He hasn't got that same brio, that same strength, that same joy of fighting that he had in Vegas. And the reason is that Azumah Nelson's making him pay the price when he comes in.
To this point, Fenech overmatched, but he's trying to come back desperately. The crowd trying to urge him on.
Watch closely the hard work of the uppercuts here. Good hook by Azumah. Just an outrageous number of punches by Fenech. Most of them not landing, but some are, and building up points.
And Fenech just mauling and brawling, trying to stay on top of Azumah Nelson. But it doesn't seem to faze Nelson. It looks like Nelson's trapped in the corner, but he is unleashing punches.
He's setting a trap. He's not trapped. He can move out of there when he wants to.
Absolutely.
Remember, the end of round 6, he almost knocked out Fenech in that same corner. Look at Fenech's right side of the face is completely open. See it? Completely open for a hook.
And perhaps Nelson just waiting for the right moment. The infighting rages on.
And that's exactly what Fenech wanted. That's a hook. Right there it is. Right there it is.
And down goes Fenech for the 3rd time of the fight. He was just waiting for the moment.
That side of the face was so open. So open, Steve. He had to take advantage, and he did. Azumah Nelson to the attack.
Wait a minute. Azumah Kenny steps in, and it's all over. It's all over.
It's corner threw in the towel, Steve. They threw in the towel, and it was all over. He said it was going to be over in round 7. He missed by 1.
Look out now. Some of the corner people getting into it. Azumah Nelson knocks out Jeff Fenech here in the 8th round, and the Fenech corner throwing the towel. And there they are from Ghana, Africa, celebrating, rejoicing, as Azumah Nelson retains his WBC Super Featherweight Championship. And much in dismay at the other corner is Jeff Fenech. There's the happy Nelson camp, and now back over to Fenech with Johnny Lewis consoling him.
Well, this is one that will not be decided by judges. Fenech took it in his hands to come to Australia, but Azumah Nelson said he'd been weak in the United States. He certainly proved it here. This is the old Azumah Nelson, the warrior from Africa, takes his time, superior boxing, and finished Jeff Fenech.
A master artist, a craftsman, Azumah Nelson, taking Jeff Fenech to task, teaching him a lesson. What a great performance by Azumah Nelson, just carving out this victory against the challenger, Jeff Fenech. As Ferdy Pacheco heads up into the ring, let's check out the final moments in round 8. It was Azumah Nelson who trapped Jeff Fenech, and lowering the boom as Fenech hit the deck for the 3rd time of this fight. First round, 2nd round, and now in the 8th round. From another angle. There's that heavy left by Azumah Nelson, followed up by the right, and that is all it took. A stunned Jeff Fenech trying to get up. And then the towel came, and you saw Arthur McCanny starting the count. And then I believe he saw over his shoulder, as Ferdy Pacheco did. I was watching the fight, but Ferdy saw the towel come flying in from the Fenech corner. It'll be coming up in just a couple of seconds. And you can see it from here as Johnny Lewis jumps into the ring, and he said that was it. He didn't want to see his man take any more punishment. So now they meet in the ring. Azumah Nelson, the champion, and Jeff Fenech.
Ladies and gentlemen, in 2 minutes, 20 seconds of the 8th round, the winner by knockout, retaining the WBC Super Featherweight Championship of the World, Azumah Nelson.
Azumah Nelson, winner by TKO, 2:20 of the 8th round. It was his fight just about all the way. He was in control.
Thank you. Congratulations, Jeff.
Calm down, calm down. All right. We'll be right with you.
I told you
So the fight doctor, Ferdy Pacheco, is ready, and he is standing by with the champion.
The professor took the student to school.
That's right. I told them I'll teach them. Now I knock him out, like I said before, I'll be the guy, and then after I beat him, I'll show him his mistakes.
Your left jab was a thing of beauty that controlled the fight.
That's right. You know, that's why I call professor. You know, you can't. Nobody can name you professor without nothing.
All right.
There's
Now,
no reason why they name me.
does this prove that you were a weak fighter because of the malaria? Wait a minute. Did you feel you were a weak fighter in Las Vegas because you couldn't get off the ropes? Here, you couldn't even catch on the ropes, and when he did, he got the punishment.
That's right. That's right. Because I told you, I know better than the guy. This fight is like I told you before. This fight is like a father and a son. You know, this fight is like a father and son. And I mean, if your son does something wrong, you know, you got to check him. You know, this is the first fight. Like I told you, this is my operation here. You know, I made this operation January 7th. I was operated in Spain.
Yeah, for his elbow. He had
Tide a turn, and Morrison suffered. Only defeated.
Of fluid, which was drained and aspirated so he can use his left hand. And also he had the malaria, which is now cleared. Now, we have with us the game loser, Jeff Fenech. And we're saying that it's almost a professor teaching a student today because his left jab was so educated in the first round and caught you off guard.
Yeah.
I've never underestimated him. He's a great champion, and he proved it tonight. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you have done anything different?
No, you know.
Jeff, could you have driven him to the ropes like you did in Vegas, and why didn't you?
I was happy in the middle of the ring. He proved he's a great fighter. I've never underestimated him. He's a great champion, and he proved it tonight.
Would you like to have another go at him now that you've had a draw and this resounding defeat?
Definitely. Hopefully I can do things different.
You've got
again.
a big heart, but that coming back from 2 knockdowns in the first and second round would take an awful lot of doing. You fought your heart out, and what are your plans now? What would you like to do?
I'll just have a rest, and I'll just see how I feel, and I'll just look at it then.
All right. And Azumah, of course, you're going to go on until you're 85, I know.
No, he don't have to stop the fight. If I beat him, he don't have to stop the fight because I'm the best in the division. Understand? And if I move up, he's going to take over, and nobody can beat him in that.
And you think you will move up?
Yeah, I'm looking for Whittaker.
Whittaker again?
Because when I fought Whittaker, the same problem that I have when I fought the champ the first fight, right? And this time I'm going to prove. I just want Suleiman to give me the chance to prove that I'm the best.
You will go up and fight Purnell. That leaves you wide open to contest for the champion in your division. You satisfied where you're at?
Oh, I'm definitely happy. I can make featherweight, but I'm happy. I was beaten by a great champion tonight. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, for a very valiant performance. When we talk about Azumah Nelson, you got to think also a little bit higher up with Julio Cesar Chavez. You think you can put on enough weight? That man is as great a champion as you are.
Two great champion mate, and it's going to be something else. Until we fight, before we see he's a great champion. He's a rare. I respect the guy so much so that he's a great champion. And if I'm going to fight Chavez, I'm going to train my head off.
All right. One last question, because it's been in everybody's head. You just didn't go to the ropes and get pinned. How did you get away from him when you didn't have that problem last time?
My problem last time, like I told you.
I know, but this time you didn't go to the ropes. I mean, you just played with him.
I'm playing with him. It's like I told you.
All right, we have got to go now back to Steve Albert at ringside, because I think we've exhausted the subject. Good luck and congratulations.
Thank
you are
sir.
a great champion.
And I like to thank the doctor who made me operation and my friends in Australia, Spain, everything. I say hello. I say hi to my babies.
You fought all over the world. We'll be here all night saying goodbye. Good night. Okay. Back to Steve Albert at ringside.
All right, thanks very much, Ferdy. We're going to take a look at the end of the fight once again. Here in the 8th round, it happened at 2:20. They ruled it a TKO in favor of the champion, Azumah Nelson. It was eventually stopped when Johnny Lewis threw in the towel. There it is, the big right hand by Azumah Nelson, and down went Jeff Fenech. It was Fenech's first defeat ever, as Azumah Nelson retained his WBC Super Featherweight Championship. You noticed Arthur McKenny stepping in. He's ready to continue the fight. All right, they're going to get together again for a few more seconds. Then in came the towel from the corner of the challenger, Jeff Fenech. As Johnny Lewis said, that was enough, as Fenech, as you can see, was just getting pounded by Azumah Nelson. And the astounding thing here is that the judges, Rudy Ortega and Tommy Kazmarek, had this even at 66. Nelson and Fenech, as far as Harry Gibbs saw it, 68-65 in favor of Azumah Nelson. That is really hard to fathom.
How can you get knocked down twice in the first round? That's 10-8 rounds, and then have it even.
All right, so Azumah Nelson proves, Ferdy, he truly is the road warrior. Now 12-0-1 in title defenses covering the super featherweight and featherweight divisions. He held the WBC featherweight crown from 85 to 88, going 6-0 in the process. And he's held the WBC super featherweight title from 88 to the present, going 6-0-1 in title defenses. So there he is, being hoisted into the air. Azumah Nelson retaining his WBC super featherweight title, a TKO at 2:20 of the 8th round over the hometown product, Jeff Fenech. Well, Azumah Nelson was right, Ferdy. He truly is the road warrior.
And he truly is a professor, because What he ran here was a clinic tonight. It showed you the power of the left jab. It showed you the power of patience and ring experience and ring generalship. He knew what he was doing. He wasn't in a hurry, and he systematically destroyed any desire on the part of Fenech to continue, and it was well stopped by Arthur McCanny. I don't think there's a man here that would like to have seen one more punch thrown.
I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I don't understand that ruling, those ruling by those two judges.
I mean, you know, you're left again with that kind of vague thought. Maybe we're all looking at different things. A man gets knocked down twice. Those are two 10-8 rounds. He's way behind. And then you mean Fenech won the rest of those rounds when he was taking such a boxing lesson? It's hard to believe that a judge would have that a draw. I would have to question his competence. I would have to make him sit down with me and the boxing commission and look at that tape. It couldn't be that he could score the rest of those rounds for Fenech.
As the old phrase goes, I don't know what fight they were watching. As far as Jeff Fenech is concerned, he was kind of obscure. Where does he go from here, aside from back to his locker room for a shower?
I think Fenech is one of the great attractions. He just can't fight a guy who has got such ring mastery and superiority. He must fight his kind of guys that come to fight, guys that want to battle, guys that will stand still for him. He is still an attraction. He's so good, and he's such a devilishly determined fighter. But when he gets in with a guy who is a professor of boxing, I mean, then you've got to expect these kind of results.
And how about Azumah Nelson? Where does he step from here? Does he step up in weight class or what?
Absolutely. I think he goes right back after Pernell Whitaker, which would be an interesting fight. And if he can put off enough weight, Chavez, and then the end of his career. I mean, he's had a brilliant career, and he could and should be in the Hall of Fame when he's over with. So I think those are the two fights that are in store for him. Whether he can get them or not, it's up to the promoters. Everything's so complicated these days.
Well, that ends a wild day here in Melbourne, Australia. Tremendous grace and spirit being exhibited by these Australian fans, despite the defeat by their man, Jeff Fenech. And that concludes our coverage today of the first ever live boxing event televised back to the United States from Australia. And for the Fight Doctor, Ferdy Pacheco, our entire crew, this is Steve Albert saying so long from down under.